Hey everybody, what's up? Um, as you could probably see the title there, and if I go back and forth, it's because I'm currently finishing off my first of hopefully maybe a few traditional yearly anime, not anime, but yearly traditional holiday movies and specials DVDs. It's actually the first one that I'm doing. So if I, like I said, if I go back and forth, it's because of that. But basically, the title of this video pretty much says it best, and that is the animated Christmas specials and stuff. Whoa, just trying to stand up there for a second. I'm sitting down on my computer right now, taking care of something, trying to figure something out here. Hold on. But basically, it's the Christmas specials that you should be watching and looking at. Hold on for a sec while I take care of this. That you may or not know, you may not know about, you may not be aware of, honestly, because they do get shown, but you have to really check for them at times, and sometimes you even have to go online for them. You know, it's like you have to go online, you have to find them, and sometimes you can find them, but you got to go to places like Netflix, Tubin TV, Pluto TV, you name it, and you can find them that way. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, yeah. But yeah, basically, but yeah, basically, these are animated specials and episodes that you need to really look at. Hold on for a sec. Gonna go do a little something here for a second. Hold on. But anyway, like I said, these are animated, and like I said, I'm kind of busy. I'm kind of not busy, but I'm kind of linking this up into areas. Uh, anyway, like I said, this is the list of animated Christmas specials slash episodes you should watch. Mainly because of the fact that you may not, as I was saying, excuse me for a second. Got about 20 minutes to go, or less than that. Actually, about 19 minutes. But anyway, yeah, and I am wearing one of the hats we got at my job. Every year they hand out hats for us to wear. So every year so like this year we have a hat with a little thing on the back. It's like a regular hat, but like this on the back of it. But yeah, I am, and I think this was like for my second or third year. I'm not really sure, honestly. I can't really say. Um, but yeah, the animated Christmas specials and episodes that you should know about, that you should watch, that you don't see that much around here. You don't see as much, I should say, unless, like I say, you look online like YouTube, Netflix, Tubin TV, Hulu, Pluto TV, you name it. You know, Vimo, Dailymotion, all these places, various sites online, whatever, syndicated television like Me TV, you name it. I know I just said that twice. But anyway, these are animated specials and episodes you guys should really watch. Um, the reason being is because when these animated specials came out originally, most of them were in prime time. I should know about this because I grew up watching a lot of these, and some of these were aired in prime time. There is no doubt about that. In fact, one that comes to mind is based off a very popular comic strip, very Christian oriented at times comic strip, and that was Family Circus. And that was the one thing. Anytime you saw a comic strip that you would read out of the newspaper, anytime the announcement came out that, oh, we're going to do a Christmas special based around it that you're going to see on television, you get excited because now you get to see these characters come to life on the small screen. And I was really happy about that. I was actually very happy about that. And not just Family Circus, but anytime. But Family Circus one was really good. It was actually decent. The youngest, I think, not the youngest, but the second let's put it, you had the son, you had the daughter, you had the second oldest son, and then you had the baby. So the second youngest son, if you will, the third child, I should say, I can't think of the name right now. Basically he was the focus of the special. Like, he had to learn how to behave. I think his sister was Dolly, I think that's her name, would kind of get him to start thinking that Santa's always watching, making sure he's being nice and who's being not, making sure who's being nice, who's being naughty, who goes on the list, who doesn't. And so he would always see these images of Santa just sitting in certain places or being in certain places, just observing him. So, for Family Circus, it was actually pretty decent, because, as a kid, it makes you think, okay, is he watching? Where is he watching from? That being Santa, it made you think, where is he watching from? How? And it works on the kid's imagination because we see from his perspective, from the kid's perspective, we see from his perspective, him just imagining maybe Santa watching from here, is he watching from there? And it's a decent special that I think if you can find it online, I believe. You can find it right here on YouTube, I believe. That you should watch it because it's really good. It really, like I said, if you have your young ones watch it, I'll say this, if you have the young ones watch it, actually get them thinking, because if this special does what it did for me and my sisters and my cousins when we all first watched it, it made us think, okay, he could be watching. Where's he watching from? Then I guarantee you, it'll get your kids watch. You'll get your young ones, your kids thinking as well. So I highly recommend looking up Family Circus Christmas and watching it, and you'll get the idea of what I'm talking about as far as like the synopsis and the plot of the story goes. Now, the next one is really interesting because it has to do with the Disney Afternoon, and you're going to see probably several Disney Afternoon ones here, but this one was actually the first out of a lot of what was like the mainstay of the original Fab Four when it came to the Disney Afternoon block. And in fact, it's one of my personal favorites, and that's Tailspin's Jolly Molly Christmas episode. And you could tell it was kind of special. It was presented in a kind of a Christmas special kind of way because of the fact that the title cards, because basically anytime an episode started with Tailspin, you get the intro and then you would fade into the episode itself with the title right there on the screen. Like, when an episode like From Here to Machinery, you just get, you get the intro, then you fade right into the episode, and as you're entering the episode, or as the episode begins, you see the title saying From Here to Machinery. But in the case of this one, and then another one, which I think was a Valentine's Day one, it was like Ransom for Red Chimp, I think. Jolly Molly Christmas and Ransom for Red Chimp, which I think were viewed as two specials. Like Red Chimp was for Valentine's Day, Jolly Molly Christmas, of course, for Christmas. They were presented with two different title cards, or two different title intros, if you will. I mean, you got the regular intro on with both episodes, but then it would fade to black, but instead of fading to the, okay, what I'm trying to say is, it's like after the intro, instead of fading to black, instead of fading into the actual episode, like fading to black, and then fading into the episode, instead, after the intro, you would get a title card, not just, like I said, fade right into the episode after the intro. Instead, you would get a title card that would show you the title of the episode with this image painted on there, like this painted image. And in the case of Jolly Molly Christmas, you had Molly, staring at a snow globe with, on a table. You had Molly staring at a snow globe on a table. And that's where we kind of begin the episode with Rebecca reminiscing about her times as a kid during Christmas, where it used to snow and everything. And how much, like a kid at Christmas, you like the candy, you like the presents and all this. But the one thing she liked the most was the snow. And the premise of the episode, the special, if you will, was Molly hearing this, basically Rebecca tells Molly this, and Molly basically is like, you know what? I know what to get my mom for Christmas. I'm going to write Santa, and I'm going to ask him to give it to her. And what she wants for Christmas for her mom from Santa is for it to snow. Basically, she wants it to snow for her mom, since her mom basically acknowledges that she misses seeing the snow during Christmas. And the special / episode plays out very well. It's got typical Tailspin moments in there, like going up against the pirates and all that. But overall, besides that, it's a very, very good special. It's a very, very good episode. I'm surprised that when Jolly Molly Christmas came out, and I noticed the special title card that it got right after the intro before going into the episode, I just kept thinking to myself, why didn't they put this in prime time? They did it later on with Goof Troop, and I'll get into that in a moment. But why didn't they do this with Tailspin? Because Tailspin was basically started somewhat of a new tradition that went on for about 4 years or so, as far as the Disney afternoon is concerned. Hold on for a sec. But like I said, they started this tradition that went on for about 4 years. It was kind of picked up on later on during the later years of Disney Afternoon into One Saturday Morning territory. But it was a tradition that started with Jolly Molly Christmas and Tailspin. And again, if you watch Jolly Molly Christmas, you watch this Tailspin episode, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. You could find it if you have Disney Plus. You could find it there on Disney Plus. When you go search for Tailspin, you'll find Jolly Molly Christmas. And believe me, it is worth watching. It's very well done. The ending is great, and I highly recommend watching it. Now, excuse me. With that said, let's talk about Sonic Christmas Blast. And I know I forgot to put that in the hashtag, so I'll probably add that later. But let's talk about Sonic Christmas Blast here. Now, in case you guys don't know, Sonic Christmas Blast was originally entitled Sonic's Extremely Christmas, Sonic's Extreme Christmas, or something like that. An Extremely Sonic Christmas, or whatever. That's what it was promoted as. It was promoted as Sonic's Extreme Christmas or an Extremely Sonic Christmas. And it was supposed to be promoted that way originally to tie in with the Sonic Extreme game that would have been on the Sega Saturn that never came to be. So instead, because you had Sonic 3D Blast come out, they decided to call it Sonic's Christmas Blast. Now what's unique about this is it is set in the world, or what you would think it's set in the world of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the syndicated slapstick comedy version of Sonic, cartoon that is. But it's actually a hybrid. It really is. It's a hybrid because it combines a majority of it. Well, what I'm trying to say is Sonic Christmas Blast combines a majority of it, combines and relies on the Adventures portion, or the Adventures cartoon. But what's unique about it is even though it depends on a majority or focuses or is relied or based in a majority of the Adventures world, you have acknowledgments to Robotropolis, which is called Robotropolis in this case, or in the special. You have Robotropolis acknowledged, but as Robotropolis. You have Swapbot acknowledged and seen, but as Adventures counterparts to the Sat AM counterparts. And then you have Princess Sally. Yeah, you have Princess Sally Acorn in the special. But unfortunately, she doesn't speak. Why? Well, one, they couldn't get Katsushi, I think, or someone that sounds similar to her. And also the fact that she's colored pink. She has a pink, her fur is pink with her hair kind of still being somewhat the same color in the Sat AM cartoon, but a little lighter. So she's kind of like a combination of what she looked like originally in the comics and in the Heads or Tails pilot for Sat AM, but she's also a combination of what she is now, kind of that classic Sat AM design from the first season into the second season. Now, Sonic Christmas Blast is a fun little special. It actually is a special, and I first saw it, believe it or not, I first saw it on USA when it debuted in 1996. How I did this? Well, real simple. You see, in 1996, me and my dad decided to fly out for Christmas to fly out here to California from Kansas to spend Christmas with our family. And our family was living in Tracy at the time, so we were able to go out and see them at that time. And it was great. It was a fun time. And it was fun. Excuse me for a second. Sorry, I'm just checking something there. I may have to go back there in just a moment. But anyway, um, it was a fun time for me and my dad to be out there. But the other thing was, I got a chance to sort of see the Christmas special when it debuted. And even though I didn't get a chance to fully see it as much as I should later on, like years later, I did get a chance to see it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I was glad that they threw in elements in the adventures, but what I'm trying to say is I'm happy that they threw in elements that sort of Sonic SAT-AM, but done in the adventure style of animation and design. I was happy that they did that. Um, I just wish, in a sense, SAT-AM could have gotten its own Christmas special when you think about it, but I believe because of the difference in tone between the two shows, it wasn't possible. I'm thinking they believed that, well, the adventures side of things lent itself more to to having a Christmas style like story than SAT-AM did. But still, I wish SAT-AM would have gotten at least one special down the line. But Christmas Blast is a unique kind of specimen that I would recommend highly to watch and enjoy, because I think you guys will like it. If you're fans of SAT-AM, you'll like the SAT-AM references as well as the appearance of Sally, even though she doesn't say anything. So overall, I highly recommend it. I really do. So yeah, I would say check out Sonic Christmas Blast. I think you will enjoy it, and you can find it online on YouTube. I believe you can also find it, I believe, by scouring Tubin TV, Stars, maybe Netflix, you name it. You'll be able to find it. Believe me. But yeah, I highly recommend Sonic Christmas Blast. I think you guys will like it. So right now, the ones I do recommend you seeing that if you've not seen them yet are Jolly Molly Christmas from Tailspin and Sonic Christmas Blast. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, and Family Circus. Family Circus. Check those out. You can probably find them. Well, two of them at least, Sonic Christmas Blast and Family Circus on YouTube. If you have Disney Plus, look up Tailspin, look up Jolly Molly Christmas. You can find it there. And they're worth watching, guys. They are worth watching. Sorry for taking so long, guys. I was just finishing up. This is the first. I'm going to show you guys right now. This is the first of the holiday specials and movies disc that I have. This has a lot of things on it that I like watching. And I'll be right back. But like I said, the first three I highly recommend you guys check out as well. I do apologize. I'll be right back. Hold on, guys. I've got a few more to talk about, so I do apologize for the back and forth. That's what happens when you do stuff live, you know? Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. But to resume what I was talking about, because I'd rather talk about this than listen to the bull crap what's going on with the freaking impeachment deal. But anyway, like I said, Family Circus and Sonic Christmas Blast. The Family Circus Christmas and Sonic Christmas Blast you can find here on YouTube. as well as Jolly Mother Christmas from Tailspin. You can find when you go to Disney Plus and look up Tailspin. You can find it there. Now, there is another I want to talk about. There's another, and I just mentioned it, and that's Goof Troop. Now, what's unique about Goof Troop is, out of all the Disney Afternoon shows that came out during the 90s, the early 90s, if you will, Goof Troop was the only one to get a primetime release of its special. The special was Have Yourself a Goofy Little Christmas, which I do have by recording it, as well as I do have courtesy physical official copy, thanks to Frank Hill. It's Frank. But yeah, Have Yourself a Goofy Little Christmas is very good. It's actually pretty decent. It is a bit of a musical at the end, because we find out a little bit more history about Max and Goofy's relationship, especially when it pertains to Christmas. And we also see that Goofy just loves to go overboard. And this is one thing about Goofy that you even see in a Goofy movie. See, Goofy, when it comes to Max, likes to go overboard for his son. And from a realistic standpoint, if it's your only child and you're the only parent, you want to do what you can to really make every moment, every holiday special, more so than the other one. And that's kind of what you get here with a Goofy movie. And Goofy gets so over exuberant, if you will, when it comes to this stuff, that he wants to pass it on and share it with his friends, his neighbors. In this case, his friends / neighbors are Pete and his family. Pete's kind of like that. If you watch Goof Troop, it's kind of the anti-friend. It's like, he's sort of a friend. He's sort of like an anti-friend. What I'm talking about is he's sort of like a friend, but he's not that. But he's not like a friend. Like, he's not like a Peg. His wife. He's not like his wife Peg, or his daughter Pistol, or his son PJ. He's mostly one that's kind of a anti-abusive friend. Like, he doesn't really like Goofy, but he's willing at times to put his differences aside to try to make something work. But he's kind of like on that borderline of, you know, he could tell something's not right when it comes to Goofy. It's like, the one thing people would say about Pete is when he tries to warn his family about letting Goofy do something or be in charge of something, he's trying to tell them, you do this, you're dooming us all. And you kind of get that here with a Goofy, Have Yourself a Goofy Little Christmas, because basically Pete, there's a moment in the special where basically Peg, Peg allows Goofy and Max to stay with them after a situation occurs that basically leaves them homeless. So Peg says, hey, it's Christmas, you guys are going to stay with us. And Goofy even offers to cook for her, cook Christmas dinner for her, which she gladly accepts. Because, hey, if she doesn't have to lift a finger during Christmas, making dinner, she's cool with it. If someone else is willing to do it, she's happy about it. But Pete, on the other hand, is more like, what, are you crazy? You want to invite this guy into our home? You want to invite him for Christmas? You want him to make Christmas dinner? Are you crazy? Because he sees, despite the fact that he knows that, despite the fact that Peg sees someone with a good heart that wants to do right, that wants to help others out, that wants to make the holidays special beyond any other holiday before, Pete sees, even though, like I said, Peg and the others, they see the positive, Pete sees the negative. He sees the reality of, look, I'm happy you want to do this. That's great. It's nice. It's a great Christmas. It's a great thing you want to do for Christmas to help them out. But you don't realize what you're allowing to happen here. And sure enough, what occurs is exactly what Pete fears. And that is Goofy goofs up. He goofs up to the point that basically Goofy, by goofing up, gets a dose of reality from Pete. Because in Pete's own unique way, he lets Goofy have it. Not physically, but he lets him have it verbally. By basically stating that he's ruined Christmas for everyone, including his own kid. Basically acknowledging to him, look, you have good, in his own Pete-ish way, he's like, look, you have good intentions, but you don't understand what you're doing. You don't get it. You want to make Christmas special, that's fine, but simplify it. Not everybody thinks your way. Or something like that. But besides that, overall, it's very good. Especially the ending, when they do what's known as the reindeer dance. It's a musical number. Everybody gets involved. It's really cool. I mean, I like the fact that, even Max is the one that is kind of like the catalyst to go after his dad. Because after his dad kind of is brokenhearted and humbly brokenhearted by what's happened, he walks off. He walks off into the snow, kind of get some fresh air, to kind of think like, okay, where did I goof up? Where did I mess up? And Max, he gets a gift from his dad, and his dad basically is like, I know the kind of gifts to give my son. And the simplest one is, and the gifts he gives his son is a picture of them doing the reindeer dance when Max was younger. So basically, Max goes after his dad. Everybody else goes after him, goes and follows. And as they're going on this little search party deal to go find Goofy, Pete tries to take the lead. And at first, when I first saw this, I'm always thinking, man, I wouldn't. And I apologize for that. Right there, folks. I do apologize. That was my phone vibrating. I do apologize. So that was my phone vibrating. But like I said, when they go on the search party to find Goofy, after Max sees the gift he got from him and decides, you know what, I should be with my dad. And then everybody else goes with Max in agreement because of that. Pete decides he wants to take the lead. Because after Max hears his dad, and he says, we got to go this way. I think, here's his dad in the distance. He's like, he knows what direction to go in. Pete decides to take the lead. And I'm always thinking to myself, this would have been interesting. I always thought to myself, I wonder if they put this on the cutting room floor, or this may have been an idea. Well, Pete's like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be part of this dumb search party. I'm going to take the lead, eat and everything. And I'm always thinking, did they write a different point? Was there a different portion of this script where when Pete takes the lead, he decides, okay, everybody follow me back to the cottage. Like he wants to try to leave Goofy behind, but kind of as he's trying to walk away, bumps right into Peg, and he has to turn around and go, we go this way, and then he falls through the hole in the cliff. It makes me think that they have the original plan for Pete to try to lead the search party back to the cottage away from Goofy before he kind of walked right into his wife, and then he had to turn around and kind of resume that way. I don't know. It makes me think that perhaps they had something like that in mind. You know what I'm saying? It makes me think that they had something like that in mind down the line. Like I said, it makes me think if they had something like that in mind as part of the original script before they did a final draft. I'm just curious. But yeah, Goof Troops, have yourself a goofy little Christmas. It's really good. They even ended with all of them circling around on a campfire in a cave singing Silent Night, Holy Night, which I think is really good. And who is it that does Peg's voice? It's not Trish McNeely. April Rachel, April Rachel, I think. Hold on. Hey Google, who voices Peg in Goof Troop?
Peg Pete was played by April Winchell.
April Winchell, there we go. That's who voiced her. April has a good singing voice. I'm gonna put it that way because, like I say, when they end the special with them sitting around the campfire and singing "Silent Night, Holy Night," you could hear her little verse at the end, and it's like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I do recommend watching Goof Troops. Have yourself a goofy little Christmas. Now, for some odd reason, it's not on Disney Plus. I looked on the Goof Troop page. It's not on there unless they added it recently, but it should be. So if Disney Plus adds something later on, they should be adding that. But yeah, definitely check out Definitely check it out if you can find it. Have yourself a goofy little Christmas. You're going to like it. It's really good. The other one I want to talk about, not many people talk about this at all, is the Bonkers Christmas episode, Miracle in the 34th Precinct. Now, from what I could tell, and I talked about this before here on YouTube on my channel in a video, I mentioned that there could have been another Christmas special they had planned. Because originally, long story short, Bonkers was only supposed to be partnered up with Miranda Wright. The whole series was supposed to be about him and Miranda as a team. And unfortunately, something happened behind the scenes where the animation they got back from overseas, stuff like that, wasn't good. Didn't look nice. They had to destroy it or vault it. And they had to basically, somewhat, with only like 19, 20 episodes, salvageable and watchable and passable and all that, they had to basically start from scratch all over with, I think, 42 original episodes that they did, where Bonkers was now partnered with a human named Lucky Piquel. It also told his origin story of how he went from being a star at Wacky Toon Studios along with his friends to being a police officer. But anyway, Miracle on the 34th Precinct is an episode where Bonkers, of course, is teamed up with Lucky Piquel. And it's a very good one. It's very good. Basically, it deals with the fact that Santa is out testing the new sleigh, and he's out testing in a severe storm. So what happens, of course, because they joke about this, he didn't have Rudolph. He ends up crashing over Hollywood. And the elves find out about this. One of the reindeer, I think it's Blitzen, comes back, reports what happens. And so these two elves, out of probably thousands, I guess they're the two heads elves. One of them voiced by Katie Lee, who did Sunny Gummy and Gummy Bears, and you could tell that with the voice. They decide, okay, we got to go to Hollywood. We got to find Santa, but if we can't find Santa, we need to find somebody to fill in for him. And that's what they do. They basically realize, hey, it's Christmas Eve. We got to find somebody's stat. And they end up choosing Lucky. And Lucky at first is kind of reluctant at first. Because I think, like, some of them, he doesn't believe that he doesn't believe what he's seeing, with these elves. But over time, the elves do win him over. They do kind of make him see through the Christmas magic what Christmas will be like for his daughter Marilyn, because his daughter Marilyn also has a bit of a story plot here. So you got Santa lost, and who ends up with, because he's lost, you got Santa who's crashed and lost, and because of that ends up with amnesia, and he's found by Fall Apart Rabbit. On top of that, you have this other plot with Lucky's daughter going through a situation at her school where one of her friends basically tries to tell her the truth about the whole Santa Claus situation, where, hey, it's not what you think it is. It's actually this is what is really behind the whole Santa Claus deal. That's what I was trying to say. Like, Marilyn's friend at school, because again, this is another plot that ties in. This is another portion of this plot that ties in altogether. Marilyn wants to prove her schoolmate, her classmate, wrong about Santa not being legit or not, because again, her schoolmate, her classmate, kind of tries to tell her, look, it's not what you think. It's actually this. It's actually this, and not what you think. It's like, well, basically, long story short, she tries to tell her, yeah, the whole Santa thing you believe in, it's not what you think. You see, the real Santa Claus is your parents. Your parents are the ones that save up money, and they're the ones that get the gifts, and then they put from Santa to so-and-so from Santa. That's what they do. That's what they do. And, Marilyn wants to prove her wrong. She's like, no, you're wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to take a picture, and I'm going to prove it. So, basically, the elves do Christmas magic, show Lucky what's going to happen if he doesn't help out. This convinces Lucky to help out. And it even gets to a point when they're doing the training to go down the chimney, that when Lucky does go down the chimney, like a second time, or the first time goes fully down, he does a ho ho ho, and it basically spooks the elves. Like, oh my god, what was that? And it's almost like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, is he really the next Santa? It's like it spooked them. It's like how closely resembled it is to Santa. So anyway, long story short, it's a great special. It really is, and Bonkers plays a good part in it. He's doing his best to kind of help out the situation, try to find Santa, because the elves are helping Lucky become the replacement Santa, the temporary Santa, while Bonkers is out searching for the real Santa, which he does, and through another crash or situation, is able to regain his memories and realize, oh my gosh, I got to get moving. It's Christmas Eve. So I would suggest checking it out. You could find it on Disney Plus when you look for Bonkers. It's on the episode listing. Check it out. It's really good. It may not be the best, but it's decent. Now, the other one I want to talk about real quickly here, guys. The other one I want to talk about is one that's, again, basically, how do I put this? It's post Disney Afternoon / One Saturday Morning error. Well, basically, it is post Disney Afternoon / into One Saturday Morning error / territory. And that is 101 Dalmatians, the series. Now, I'm not talking about Dalmatian Street, which I'm pretty sure is going to have their own Christmas thing, if not already. I'm talking more along the lines of 101 Dalmatians, the series, which came out about a year and a half after the live-action 101 Dalmatian movie, which starred Glenn Close. And this is actually pretty good, because this, along with Goof Troop, are the only other ones that got primetime releases. As a matter of fact, it even got its own VHS release. Yeah, it got its own VHS release. And that was the thing about some of the Christmas specials or episodes they did for Disney afternoon shows. They would actually release them during Christmas on VHS. So anyway, basically, 101 Dalmatians, the series, did the episode A Christmas Cruella. That's right, Christmas Cruella, which is basically their interpretation of A Christmas Carol. And it's really good. It's really, really good, because it's through this that we find out that the reason, Cruella is the way she is, somewhat, is because she never got what she wanted during Christmas. It's her parents, and depending on how you look at it, because 101 Dalmatians, the series, was kind of not always in canon or connecting to other episodes, except for the finale, which was Dalmatian Vacation, which was a 3-parter. Basically, long story short, in this Christmas Cruella, we find out that, when she was a kid, all she wanted was a puppy with spots, basically a Dalmatian puppy. She never got that. Never did. And just made her bitter and bitter, made her basically slowly turned her in to who she is. And all she wanted was a puppy. And the reason she became, as she grew up the way she was, is her parents would neglect her. Her parents would either go on vacation, on a personal vacation, and leave her behind with the butler, the maid, would do this, would do that. It's really, really good. And it follows somewhat very similar to the Christmas Carol motif. Because basically you have 3 spirits. And they're all played by 3 of the main characters. You have the Ghost of Christmas Past, which is played by Cad Pig. You have the Ghost of Christmas Present, who is played by Rolly. And you have the Ghost of Christmas Future, played by Spot the Chicken. and they all do a great job in these roles. Basically, when you get to Rolly, and he shows what's the present, like what's good, what the result is of what Cruella has done, because basically, just like in A Christmas Carol, depending on the versions you look at and how people interpret it, in some versions of A Christmas Carol, the Scrooge or adaptations of A Christmas Carol, the Scrooge-like character fires the Bob Cratchit-like character, thus ruining the Christmas, ruining any chance of having a decent Christmas. And in this case, it's Anita. Anita ends up being fired because she wanted to take Christmas off. She had let Cruella know about this. And she was fired because of it. So basically you get to a scene in the present where basically Cruella sees what the end result of her situation is. Like, the Dearlys have all these presents for the Dalmatians, have all these presents for themselves, and for the maid, if you will, I can't think of her name right now, but they all acknowledge that these are for you, or actually these were supposed to be for you, but it's got to go back because of the fact that we don't have the money to afford it. They even get to a point where Lucky, who's going through an operation because he broke his leg, plays the Tiny Tim role. And Lucky basically is given a new cast, but then the cast is taken off him because they can't keep it either because Anita doesn't have a job anymore. And the one thing I do like about this throughout some of these portions of this episode, like with Rolly, Cruella is still kind of being herself. Like, she'll hear this, like this one line where Jim Deere is like, or not Jim Deere, but Roger is like, he says, well, I wish Cruella a Merry Christmas. She charges for the very air we breathe. And then Cruella gets this idea, gets her little memo recorder, if you will, something like this, and then goes, memo to myself. Memo to myself. Charge, fee for air or something like that. And it takes basically, when you get to the Christmas future situation, where just like in all the adaptations of A Christmas Carol, she sees where she could end up. Basically, when she dies, instead of ending up like in a fancy cemetery or being cremated and given to somebody, whatever, she finds out that she's going to be buried in a pet cemetery because of the way she's been. So, yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's actually really good. It ends on a funny note, too, because she not only, on kind of a funny, sarcastic kind of parody-like note, she not only gets into the Christmas spirit by improvising on the gifts she's going to give because everything's closed on Christmas. She gives not only Anita her job back, and then says, oh, and you can have Susan's desk too. I'm going to fire her on the next day. It's like, oh, you're just thinking about it makes me laugh a little bit. And then she's like, they're all appreciative of what, what she's doing, of the change she's willing to make. And she's like, look, you don't have to give me anything because I'm already looking at what you give me. She says, this is what I've been wanting my whole life. And it ends by her being excited to finally being around the puppies for a good, positive reason. But the puppy she ends up picking up at the end is Wither. And Roger's like, he has to tell Cruella, no, Cruella, not Wither. And all of a sudden you hear this ding, 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 ding. And he just pisses all over her. It's like, it's really good. You got to check it out. I would highly recommend it. Like the others, I do recommend checking it out. You can actually, I think that might be, well, actually it's not on Disney Plus yet because they haven't put the series on there yet. So when they do, I recommend watching it. Or you can find it on YouTube or somewhere. But watch Christmas Cruella. It's really good. It's really, really good. I can't say any more than that. Now, there is another one I want to talk about. In fact, it's not even that old. And it's one I'm very happy to watch. And let's just put it this way. If you're a fan of shipping, then this gives you somewhat what you want. Or does basically give you what you want. And that is Best Gift Ever, based around My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It is looked at as sort of being a bridging gap between seasons 8 and 9, 9 being the final season, but now is looked at as being a story that could take place in between any time. A lot of us, like myself, now look at it as taking place at the end of the ending of the end to part of the aftermath of that whole situation, and the flashback that we get in the final epilogue episode, The Last Problem, where Twilight is crowned the new ruler of Equestria, along with her friends. And Best Gift Ever, I think, is really, really good. It's really well done. Basically, it plays on the whole Secret Santa situation, where Twilight Twilight's getting exhausted, overwhelmed with a lot of stuff she's doing. So Applejack comes up with the solution to do Heartwarming Helper, which is their interpretation of Secret Santa. And everyone, all 7 of them, that includes Spike, gets to pick out a random symbol or cutie mark that represents the pony or dragon they're going to get. It represents each and every one of them, I should say, and whoever they choose, they got to get a gift for. So the way it goes is like this. Twilight and Pinky end up getting each other. Applejack gets Spike, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Spike originally gets Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash gets Fluttershy. And Rarity gets Applejack. Now, let's go back to what I was talking about with Spike originally getting Rainbow Dash, because when they're talking about this, when Applejack is coming up with this solution and how it makes it a lot easier, there's a moment, because Spike's standing right there next to Rarity. And, like I said, they're coming up with all agreeing on going this, and they're all agreeing about going in this direction. And Spike, being tritipated in love, fonding, affectionate, just heads over heels for Rarity. And of course he has his wings now. He's flying up a little bit, going like, and you could get the special, or something like, he says the line along the line, he says the line of, you could get the pony, and you could get the pony that you want, something really special. And you see these little hearts above him, and he's right next to Rarity. It's like, come on. I think she I think Rarity herself kind of knows who Spike wants to get. And when this special was first announced, I'm going to say it honestly, I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be ironic if both Rarity and Spike got each other? That would be something. But they did it in a way that I thought was pretty good. Now, Spike, he does get Rainbow Dash. So he inquires about maybe trading, and when he finds out that, okay, maybe there isn't a problem in doing so, he tries to go from pony to pony to pony of the main 7, of his fellow main 7ers, to try to do a trade. And at first it's Applejack. Applejack right off the bat says, I don't have Rarity. He goes to Pinky. Pinky's rushing out the door out of her house saying, I don't have Rarity. Twilight, don't have Rarity. So, okay. He hasn't tried Rainbow Dash. I think he tried. I don't think he tried Rainbow Dash. I don't know if he did. I gotta look again. But either way, he gets to Fluttershy, and he knows Fluttershy is kind, is the element of kindness, and would be willing to trade if she had Rarity. And ironically, she does. So he basically, in a fast-talking, smooth-talking, dragon-type kind of way, is able to talk a trade in with. Is able to convince Fluttershy to trade with him, because he has Rainbow Dash, she has Rarity. So he gives her Rainbow Dash, because I think he figures if anybody knows what to get Rainbow Dash better than maybe himself, it's Fluttershy. So he gives Rainbow Dash, and he gives Fluttershy, he trades names, cutie marks with Fluttershy, and he gives her Rainbow Dash, and he gets Rarity. And what's funny about it is, even though he's happy to get Rarity, he realizes, oh my gosh, I don't know what to get her. So he ends up basically going on a quest to try to figure out what to get her, and then it ends basically, and basically in the end, he ends up giving her a gift from the heart. Originally, it looked like it was going to be a parasail umbrella, which she could, wear or use when she's traveling, and because it's from the heart. But what he ends up doing instead, he ends up putting together this little makeshift guitar, and he sings his portion of the final song, "True Gift of Giving," to Rarity in what I've mentioned on many occasions is a romantic serenade, love song ballad kind of way. Basically, he sings it in a love song kind of way towards Rarity. And Rarity, of course, is touched by this to the point that even as I've pointed out and others have noticed, she has sparks/stars in her eyes. And the ending song overall, when Twilight does the second part of it, which makes it basically a Spike Twilight kind of duet with the main seven, with the rest of the main seven helping out. Um, the last song's really good, and it's to me this is to me overall best gift ever is beautifully animated. It's done in the traditional way the series is done, but it's gotten a lot more effort to it. You could tell that a lot more effort was put in. It's really done well. It only has two songs, the opening song and the ending song, which are both very well done. And then after that, it just focuses on all the individual stories of the characters. And, I mentioned, Applejack getting Spike. And I brought this up as well, that it's kind of funny that one of the things this special does is it throws out a bunch of Easter eggs and nods to us as fans. Because there's a lot of fans that want to see Rarity and Applejack together. So Rarity getting Applejack, that's a nod to the Rarajack supporters. Applejack getting Spike is a nod towards the Apple Spike supporters. And Spike eventually getting Rarity is a nod to the Sparity supporters. So it's kind of like, it worked out that kind of way where you had Spike eventually get Rarity, but unbeknownst to him, Applejack got him, and unbeknownst to Applejack, Rarity got her. So if you're a supporter of all three ships, there you go. That was a nice little Easter egg there, if you look at it that way. But overall, it's a great special. And Discord, despite how you might feel about him when it came to the finale, or the two-part finale, definitely played a good role here, because he's basically telling Rainbow Dash, look, you might be her friend, you might know what she likes, but do you really know what she likes? What would really make her happy? And I think this is after she has this, and this is after Fluttershy opens an animal sanctuary. So Discord is thinking, what would she like to add to that sanctuary as an animal she could take care of and watch over? So he even plays a decent part. And overall, it's just a great special. It's just great. So you can find it on Netflix right now. You can find it on Netflix. And then speaking of which, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day will be broadcast on Discovery Family. So check that out if you want to do it then. But you could, like I said, you could watch it on Netflix. It's there, and I highly recommend it. I really do. Now, last but not least, another one I want to talk about, of course, is actually I got two more. The next one I want to talk about is The Simpsons. Now, The Simpsons, of course, celebrating 30 years yesterday. Originally started, the first episode, the pilot episode, was Santa's Little Helper. Very memorable. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. You can find it on Disney Plus and elsewhere. But the one I want to talk about is the one I ended up putting onto my holiday collections and all that a couple years ago. And that is, it takes place in the future. And it starts off by them gathering together for an annual Christmas photo, It's basically, what I'm trying to say is it starts with them gathering together for a traditional family Christmas photo, to put in the album. It's to put in the album, to send as a Christmas card and all that. So Marge basically sets it all up, grabs the animal and the dog, sits them all together on the couch, and they take the picture. And then what happens is the picture kind of changes. It's like, it's a tradition for them to do. So every year it changes to show the difference in the characters, like the kids getting older, kids going through certain awkward phases and all that. Like Lisa, for example, doing this opening montage with the pictures. It shows that she got older. She went through a phase of being a lesbian and all that, then going back to being straight, ending up with Millhouse and all that. So it goes through all this to the point that it ends up with, you know, just Marge and Homer sitting on the couch, and they're holding up these little postcards from the kids, where you have one from Lisa and Millhouse, you have one from Maggie, who's gone on to be a rock star, and you have one from Bart and his ex, because, with their kids. And it's really good. I mean, this is actually pretty good. It's got that traditional Simpsons charm to it, and it really showcases what the Simpsons were about. In fact, I like the fact that when I love this. I like the little take on going into virtual reality or going online in the future. Basically, it's like you take something, you hook it up to your laptop, then you hook it up to your neck, and clunk, you're out. I love that part. That was really good. I love that they have the whole "we could read your minds" deal now with the kids. Like, okay, so Bart's ex sends her sons to be with him for Christmas because he's got to learn to be a better dad. And basically, Bart's like, "Oh, I'll just unload them on my parents. I'll just unload them on my mom for Christmas," kind of deal, like tradition, like Bart is. And then the sons are like, we can read minds, now, or something like that. You do realize we can read minds now? And Bart's like, no, it's like his little plan to get rid of them or get them off his chest, unload them onto his parents, kind of backfires because they can read minds. So it's really good. It's basically what it is. The overall plot is you have the kids, Homer and Marge's kids now, trying to reconnect with their kids, with their kids. Like Bart's trying to reconnect with try to prove he's a good dad to his son. Lisa's trying to reconnect with her daughter, and Maggie's on the road, and she's pregnant, but nobody knows who the dad is. So, and she ends up going into labor during this time. But I think she does show up too. I'm not really sure. I think she does. But she does end up going into labor as well as a part of this. And overall, it's really, really good. And I love the whole, this is another thing I love. And I'm probably going to watch this now. I'm thinking about it. I love this whole thing where you get emails now and all that in your mind. You can get them in your mind now. And, this is how Marge finds out about the kids coming home for Christmas. And then Homer gets one in his head, like, "Ooh, I got one too. You have won a free prize. Please open now." And Marge is like, "Don't do it. It's a virus." And Homer's like, "Too late." And I love it. I really like that. I really like it. I mean, honestly, I haven't watched much Simpsons growing up, to be honest with you. But when I do watch them, when people talk about, "Oh, you got to watch this because this actually brings the Simpsons back to what they should be," this special here, this Christmas one they did a couple years back, is exactly that. It stands out as being one of the better ones they've done in a while. It really is. I mean, you have a good moment. You even have a decent moment between Bart and Lisa up in the old clubhouse where they get a little buzzed and all that. They get a little buzzed and all that. So you got a nice, decent moment there. I mean, I thought when they were buzzed, just the way they were talking to each other, I'm thinking, are they gonna kiss? Are they gonna make out because they're so buzzed and all that? But yeah, it kind of reminded me sometimes of when I kind of just have talks with my sisters and all that. So it was really nice moment between the two. And overall, it's a good Christmas addition to the Simpsons legacy. It really is. So I would check it out. I really would. I would definitely check that out. You can find it on Disney Plus. And then, of course, the last one I want to talk about is the 2 hour or hour and a half primetime Christmas special / movie from 1980, Yogi's First Christmas. And I'm going to say this about Yogi's First Christmas. I despite how people might feel about it, I like it. I really do. Because it's done in a way that's typical Yogi Bear. Done in a typical Yogi Bear-like scenario. It really is. It's done in a typical Yogi Bear-like scenario. And I bring this up because basically, if you have not seen it, you could see it's on Boomerang right now. It's on Boomerang's streaming service. And you could also buy it physically or digitally. But what I like about this movie / special is it's done in a way that's kind of Christmas caper kind of deal. Okay, so here's how it's done. So here's the synopsis of it. So Yogi's friends like Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, Augu, I can I can pronounce these here. I know I'm talking a lot, so I need a break here for a moment. Hold on. This is what happens, like I said, when you do stuff live. But as I was saying, Yogi's friends like Snagglepuss, Huckleberry Hound, Daddy Doggy, and Augie, if you will, the Augie Doggy, that's what it is. Daddy Doggy and Augie Doggy. Easy for me to say. They're coming up to Jellystone Lodge for Christmas, courtesy of Ranger Smith, and they've been invited. It's not been invited, but it's a tradition that they do every year. Unfortunately, one of the main plots of this story in Yogi's First Christmas is the fact that it could be the last Christmas at the lodge, because the owner of the lodge is planning to sell it. And I think her name is Throckmorton. That's what it is. Her name is Throckmorton, or Mrs. Throckmorton, as you will. And she's planning to sell it. And basically, the reason she's planning to sell it is because business is not doing so well. And what would happen if she sells it is it would be demolished in a freeway. An overpass would go in its place. So they got to do whatever they can to convince her not to do it. Now, in the process, as they're doing this, and they're trying to put that to the side, like, okay, they end up at the lodge, and they decide, you know what, and they hear the news. They hear the bad news that this could be the last time there. They decide, okay, look, let's just put that to the side right now and enjoy the Christmas we're going to have. Let's forget about that right now and just enjoy having fun together and singing. So they end up resuming singing the songs that they did as they were traveling up to the lodge. But what they're unaware of is the lodge is in the vicinity or just slightly above where Yogi and Boo Boo are at. And of course, or hibernating, just slightly above the cave. And this is enough to where it awakes Yogi up. It wakes Yogi and Boo Boo up. And being, Yogi Bear, he's got to find out what's going on. And he comes up with his own kind of excuse as, you know what? I want to find out what's going on, right? So he comes up with his own, unique excuse, like, yeah, don't you know it's kind of wrong to wake up somebody that's sleeping at night? And Boo Boo's like, I didn't know that was a law. And he says, neither did I until I made it up. So anyway, long story short, Yogi and Boo Boo arrive. They go through all these shenanigans throughout. Ranger Smith finds out they're up. He tries to get them to go back to sleep. They go through all these shenanigans. Miss Throckmorton shows up with her bratty nephew. They encounter this Herman the Hermit guy that's dealt with this every year, and he's basically revealed as being the mysterious culprit behind a lot of mishappenings occurring around the lodge during Christmas, which is causing business to go down. So you got all these going down. You got all these situations playing out. You got Mrs. Throckmorton, when she arrives, taking a liking to Yogi because not only did he save her by accident or by coincidence, but but there are certain moments throughout, certain things that occur to where she just wants to give Yogi a promotion or give Yogi another job for what he's done, for all the good deeds he's doing, to the point that she eventually gives Yogi the title of hotel manager just for that season, just because he's been doing such a good job. Now, her nephew, like I said, is named Snidely, and he's a bratty nephew, doesn't like Christmas, doesn't care, thinks he's better than everybody else, tries to cause mischief and trouble, eventually meets and teams up with Herman the Hermit, that's the antagonist, the one that, like I said, has been the culprit behind everything that's happened in the past Christmases before this one. And they try to cause Christmas to be ruined again, but that ends up being backfired, or that ends up backfiring in their place, thanks to Yogi, once again, which gets him that considered promotion to hotel manager just for that, just for the rest of the season. So you got all these shenanigans going on, and you even have the involvement of Cindy. And how does Cindy come in? Well, if you expect, well, Cindy is on the cover of the promotional poster and the VHS and whatever. And that was just my phone going off there. I do apologize. But like I said, if you're expecting Cindy like throughout the entire special, I'm just fixing this here. Hold on, just adjusting it. There we go. But like I said, if you're expecting Cindy throughout this special from beginning to end, no. She shows up basically about, I would say, an hour in, about 50 minutes in. I would say about 45 minutes to an hour in, she shows up. And, you know, so she helps contribute. And we get a plot point with her. We get a subplot with her because basically Cindy... basically what happens is Cindy ends up getting a job as a waitress because she's up now. So what happens is Boo Boo notices she's under the mistletoe. She does not know what's going to happen, right? So Boo Boo says, stand right there, Cindy. I'll be right back. And you hear him giggling and you're thinking, what is he laughing about? And she's wondering, what are you laughing about? So he gets a little step stool. She's wondering what's going on. And he says, this, and he ends up kissing her on the cheek, and she's kind of touched by this, and kind of surprised and touched by this, and then Boo Boo basically points up, says that's the reason, explains what it's about, and everything. And Cindy, she's like, oh my gosh, she's got the guarantee of guarantees right here for her and Yogi, and she goes into her mistletoe song, which I used to have on my channel, but because of certain reasons I don't want to take a chance on, it's not there now, but it was one of the most viewed videos, so I thank you guys for that. So she's happy about it. Happy. Like I said, she sings the mistletoe song, which a lot of people look at now and they're thinking, damn, how did they get away with this back then in 1980? You know. So anyway, she gets a subplot of trying to get Yogi under the mistletoe, get him a kiss, and get him under the mistletoe, and thus try to get a Christmas kiss from him, which she eventually does do. She ends up getting that, and then she breaks up into song after that. And so overall, yeah, she ends up getting a plot focusing on trying to get Yogi under the mistletoe, and thus get a kiss from him for Christmas. So yeah, that's part of it. Overall, you might think, oh, this makes it sound like a mess, but guess what? In the end, it all comes together. It all comes together in a very well Christmas delivered present of a package, of a story. I'll put it that way. And I would definitely recommend watching it. I'd recommend watching it. Like I said, it's on the Boomerang streaming service right now. You don't have to watch it all in one sitting. You could pause, take a break, come back and watch it later, but it's really good. It's really worth watching. It's definitely worth it. Especially with the end result being that Mrs. Throckmorton has decided she's not going to sell the lodge, but she's going to donate it to the Jellystone Orphanage, which she's the head of. So basically she ends up keeping it around, but it's going to now serve as a place for orphans during certain holidays and all that, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, and all that. So it's really, really good. So overall, this is a really good special / movie that I highly recommend you check out if you have the Boomerang streaming service. So overall though, that is pretty much some of the Christmas specials / episodes that I would recommend you watch if you haven't yet already. They are perfect to watch at this time of year. I mean, yeah, you got the traditional Rankin Bass special, which is a tradition for a lot of us to watch. But this, to me, is one of those specials that you have to watch. But these, to me, are the kind that you have to really watch because you don't see any of these anymore. You won't see these kind of things anymore. Family Circus and all that, Yogi, MLP. You don't see any new stuff out of them for the time being anymore. Done on this level of production and done in a way that really makes you think and enjoy and be glad you saw it. So again, these are the Christmas specials / episodes that I recommend you watch. Like I said, you can find them on some of them on Disney Plus, some of them on Netflix, some of them on YouTube. And believe me, once you watch them and see them and watch them, you will enjoy them. Trust me on that. So thank you all for watching live. I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comment section. Let me know which ones you'll watch, or which ones you think you could watch, or you feel are watchable in your opinion. Let me know down below. I know I sound like I rambled. I mean, this is what happens when you're doing a list like this, unscripted, live, and on the fly kind of deal. But let me know what you guys' thoughts are on some of these specials and episodes that are brought up. Which ones do you like the most and feel are probably more watchable than the others? And which Christmas specials and episodes of franchises and shows do you feel should be looked at by people that have not been talked about out or seen for quite some time? What list of shows and specials what list of specials / episodes of shows and franchises do you feel people should watch, like I said, that we have not seen in quite some time and seem to be forgotten or only seen once in a while? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. Thank you all for watching, and I'm out.